So let's talk about one of Kuala Lumpur's most buzzed about new developments. It's a place that promises you can live like you're on a permanent vacation. But the big question is that dream stuck in a permanent traffic jam? Today, we're breaking down the Fiddlewoodz.
You know, the entire project is built around this one really powerful idea, Wanderlust. The developer, Exsim, is tapping right into that feeling we all have of wanting to escape. They've designed a building that lets you travel the world without ever having to pack a bag.
And trust me, they are not subtle about this. Just imagine it. You finish a long day and you go for a swim in a pool that looks like it was plucked straight out of Santorini, except you're on the 53rd floor, looking out over the city. Or maybe you'd rather cool off in a garden that's designed to feel like the Arctic. Yeah, they've even got special lighting to mimic the northern lights.
And for the kids, get this, a playground that looks like it's straight out of Middle-earth. I mean, these aren't just facilities, right? They're selling you a whole story, an escape. But is that story just a little too good to be true?
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dive into that lifestyle dream. Then, we'll zoom out and look at the bigger neighborhood picture. We'll get into something I call the connectivity paradox, check out the price tag, and then we'll wrap it all up with a final verdict.
All right, first up, let's talk about the core promise here. This isn't just an apartment building they're selling, it's a resort that you just happen to live in, year-round.
And what's really clever is how they've actually built this fantasy into the building itself. It's not just one floor with a gym and a pool. No, they've created these different themed zones. It's like you're on a vertical journey. You start with a grand hotel-style entrance, travel up to a garden oasis, and go all the way up to an Arctic experience in the sky.
Now this right here is the project's crown jewel. We're not talking about just any rooftop pool. This is a 360-degree infinity pool that wraps around the entire top of the tower. For investors, you have to see the dollar signs here. This is the ultimate Instagrammable feature, and it's a powerful, powerful magnet for attracting the best tenants.
Okay, let's zoom out from the building for a second, because you're not just buying a unit, you're buying a piece of this massive, and I mean massive, 75-acre master plan called KL Metropolis.
But wait, before we get into that, we have to cover something that is absolutely crucial. Freehold versus leasehold. Think of it this way. Freehold means you own it. Forever. It's yours. Leasehold is more like a long-term rental from the government. The Fiddlewoodz is freehold, while most of its neighbors are leasehold. For any long-term investor, that is a huge, game-changing advantage.
Now, looking at KL Metropolis, you realize pretty quickly it is very much a work in progress. Sure, the economic engine, the MITEC Exhibition Center, is up and running, but the main shopping mall, the Signature Tower, those are still just promises for the future. So if you're buying here, you're investing in a vision that could easily take another decade to fully come to life.
And this brings us to the locations. Well, it's split personality. On one hand, it's marketed as being right next to the super prestigious Mont Kiara, giving you all the perks of that address. But technically, your address is in Segumbut, an area that's still got a lot of its industrial roots showing. So one of your windows might have a stunning city view, while the other might be looking at an old workshop. It's a classic gentrification story.
And that leads us to probably the most important part of this whole puzzle. It's the project's biggest selling point, which ironically is also its most painful daily drawback: connectivity.
And this right here is the paradox you live with every single day. You're literally surrounded by a web of major highways that can get you anywhere in the city. The problem? Getting to them. There's this one main road, Jalan Dutamas 2, that's infamous for its peak hour gridlock. We're talking bumper-to-bumper, crawling traffic.
Now you might be thinking, what about public transport? Well, there's a long-term solution. The MRT3 line is coming with a station just a short walk away. But look at this timeline. The building is finished in 2026. You move in. The train station doesn't start running until 2032. Let that sink in. That is a 6 to 7 year gap where every single resident is stuck using their car, feeding right back into that same gridlock we just talked about.
So, with all that in mind, what's the price of admission for this dream? And more importantly, does the investment actually make sense given all these trade-offs?
If you look at the pricing, they're trying to hit a really specific sweet spot. Of course, it's more expensive than the older condos in Mont Kiara, but it's also noticeably more affordable than the newest, ultra-luxury project nearby, Solaris Parq. They're aiming right for that brand new and feature-packed, but not at the absolute top of the market buyer.
And for you investors out there,
This is the magic number. The projected gross rental yield is around 5.3%. And let me tell you, for Kuala Lumpur, that is a very, very strong number. And it makes sense, right? You've got those totally unique facilities acting as a tenant magnet, plus a constant stream of demand from all the events happening at the MITC Exhibition Center right next door.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. It's time for the final verdict. What is the ultimate trade-off here for anyone who's even thinking about the Fiddlewoodz? On the pro side, the long-term argument is incredibly strong. It's freehold. That's basically gold in this area. The facilities are genuinely one of a kind, giving it a huge edge over competitors. That future MRT station is a massive catalyst for property values, and you've got that built-in rental market from MITEC.
But then there's the con side. And this is all about the reality of your daily life, at least for a while. The traffic is a non-negotiable daily headache. You're going to be living in an active construction zone for years. And the biggest value unlock, that MRT station, well, you've got a 7-year wait ahead of you.
So when you put it all on the table, it's pretty clear who this is for. It's for the patient investor who can afford to play the long game. It's for an expat family who's more wowed by the incredible facilities than they are worried about a commute. In short, it's for anyone willing to trade daily convenience for a truly unique lifestyle.
Which brings us right back to the question we started with. For the incredible promise of living in a global resort day in and day out, are you willing to navigate a daily traffic bottleneck for the next 7 years? The answer to that really defines whether the Fiddlewoodz is your dream or a dream deferred.